And I'm just going to share my screen so we can go through the start of the song for the basses and the tenors. So just as this pops up, there we go. So we are doing You Will Be Found by Dear Evan Hansen. It is a beautiful arrangement. The way that Simon has picked these songs to arrange has been quite interesting. We started off with one White Cliffs of Dover, looking at hope to the future. Then we went on to One Voice, that it wasn't just one voice sitting alone. He now has this entire chorus and choir around him. We went on then to You Got a Friend in Me, just showing that the relationships that we've developed through the sections and getting to know each other. And now we're on You Will Be Found. Maybe one of our toughest songs yet, definitely our longest. But we're going to be looking at quite a lot of difficult emotions in this song, but putting it across in our performance and showing the audience our understanding of the words and the music. So just to note here, we have the melody parts are all marked up in yellow. So that is when the basses and the tenors are together and we have the melody from the start. We set the tone. We really tell the story. If it is pink, it means that the basses and the tenors are together on a harmony part, and that is where the basses will be allowed to drop the octave. We are still waiting proper clarification, but most of the time when it's pink, we should be allowed if it makes musical sense. So I will get a definitive answer out to you guys. If it has no color at all, it is where we are in 6-part harmony. So we will be singing separate, but that happens mostly in part 3 of the song. So at the moment, we're just going to look at parts 1 and 2. You can see part 1 is up to bar 69, part 2 is up to 82. So it's a fair chunk of the song that we're together. So the start, we are setting it. It's a solo voice. We need to really convey the emotion. In the musical Dear Evan Hansen, it's about a guy, I'm not going to give any spoilers, I really suggest looking up. The other day, Bertie shared the video on the members page on Facebook. Have a look at the actual music theatre song and how they perform it. So it's a boy with social anxiety having to do a big speech in front of his school. And this opening verse, it really sets the tone. So have you ever felt like nobody was there? He's sharing, he's bringing you in, but at this point we want to sing it as if he's just singing it to himself. It's your internal voice, so we don't want your power yet. We need to have somewhere that we can grow from. So forgotten is the first note that I have written. It's instead of the hard T sounds, we want the forgotten. For the Brits amongst us, this is our Americanized English. For the Americans and the Canadians, you already have a step above us here. So it is forgotten. We don't want the hard T sounds. In the middle of nowhere, we need to think about what these words mean when we're looking at the notes. Disappear. Now, if we are a barber shopper, we like holding notes. We like growing in the notes. We like diphthongs and, feeling that chord. This one is completely different. This is a musical theatre disappear. We need to be able to step right back. And as Mike has written, ghost-like. So almost fading into the background. Think of the word picture that puts in your head, disappear. So have a think about that one. Bar 15, there's a complete change. We're trying to think to the future, hopeful. Well, let that lonely feeling wash away. Maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay. And at that point, we need to smile. We need to put that into our voice. It will come across in your performance that the first half is quite tentative, quite tense. And then, let that lonely feeling. So we're putting that brightness back into our voice. Because when you don't feel strong enough to stand, you can reach. Now, reach, we need a really minimal ch sound. The tech team will thank us so much that they don't have to try and line up all our ch sounds. Anytime we have a hard consonant like that ch sound, try and minimize it, but especially that one. The first one, we want a small one. It doesn't matter as much in the second one, but try and think about musical sense when we're looking at that. And then we go to and-o. Every time we have an and-o, I like to think of it as a contemplative moment, that either we've just said something quite hard-hitting or we're just about to. For me, this is the and-o. Someone will come running. We're not on our own, that we do have support. He doesn't want and-o. He doesn't want us to chew our words up here. It's and-o. It's and-o. It's minimize the D, almost as if it's not there at all. Someone will come running, and I know they'll take you home. This part, bless the soprano and altos, we are all singing this in the same octave. No one is allowed to go up the octave or down the octave. It is that voice in the darkness. We may need to take strategic breaths if need be. We are allowed to take breaths. Through one voice, we learnt the ninja breathing, whereas these big red lines are definite breaths that we need to take. You'll notice them throughout the piece. He will tell us in a couple of places where we're not allowed to breathe. So we might have to take some sneaky breaths, maybe chorus breaths, ninja breathing, just to keep the tone nice throughout the whole phrase. He has written a voice in the darkness. We're all standing together in this, even when the dark comes crashing through. In the tracks, he cuts off this C note. Remember to hold it for its full length. That is one place to have a looky at. Don't cut it short. We still have enough time for a quick breath before we sing, and when you're broken on the ground. You can see he's written, set the scene and then help them up. You will be found, we repeat over and over again, but it's almost like we are starting to believe it a bit more throughout the song. It's every time we need to do something a little bit different, a little bit special to it, just to give it a bit more power and a bit more performance. Every song that Simon has ever done has written the word blossom, and I think it is a fantastic analogy. It is a flower opening up, and this is us just starting to believe the message. It gives it a bit more energy, a bit more dynamics, a bit more oomph behind it. So again, all in yellow, so we're all in unison, and you can tell that that means he's giving it power. He's giving it the, you know, just the weighting that it needs, that we're all singing together. He has written throughout the piece, quiet. The only reason that we have quiet written is we need to come right back down volume-wise in order to come back up. So usually just after he has quiet written, we have a big crescendo and a big moment. So it's not whispery, it's just pulling back a little. And you can see he's got written growing. This is through the twiddly bits. So he has little grace notes written. When Simon is recording music, as many of you have seen, and arranging music, he just sings. He doesn't write it down. So lucky for us, Dean Kiesling has gone through it and tried to write all of Simon's little vocal diva moments. They are fantastic notes, his Mariah Carey moments. I like to think of them. But we need to have a listen of those really closely so that we get the timing bang on. It will be powerful once we pull them all together, and it really does add that lovely flavor to it. Because if you notice, the sopranos aren't singing any twiddlies, but the altos and the tenors and the basses here are. We have most of the twiddlies that we need to keep an eye out. So you can see here, the sopranos have a little bit at the start, but we continue it to the end of the bar. He has written proud. And if you notice, every single "you will be found" has a different note written and attached to it, that we are growing, we are believing it, and we want to convey that to everyone. Loud but light. Again, we're still building it. We're starting to believe it. This twiddly bit. Bless you basses, it is very high in your register. try and sing it with as much beauty as you can up in your head voice. But it is a tricky bit. The tenors should be able to manage it, no problem. And we'd love for you to sing it as well. So try your best on that. I know when I've been doing my practice, I've been rewinding that bit back, listening to it, and then over and over and over again, just to get that timing in my head. You'll notice Simon often does little grace notes up. He calls them his trampoline notes. They are very, very small slides up to the note, or sometimes down. Sometimes they're not written, but go with the teach tracks for the grace notes and the trampoline notes, as he calls them. We're ending that little passage here with "You will be found," and it's just you, the tenors and the basses together. It's pulling back and thinking about it. We've just realized, and then we're maybe feeling a bit more of that insecurity, and we're pulling it back again. But we're still sure of it. It's like a little nod. Okay?
Laura, can I just hold you there on bar 42?
Mm-hmm.
This is another place where the notes don't conform with the teach track, where it says "you will be found," and it's in the notes. It's "you will be found." Be. It drops down to the.
So
what is that?
he is just doing his little trampoline note down.
Yeah.
Go with the tracks at that point.
It drops to the D sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah, D sharp. It's a D in the key of G in the final bar.
He does sing it as written, except for the B. He goes down a bit quickly to the next found note.
He drops down to the D sharp.
Yeah. Go with the tracks.
Yep. Thank you.
No problem. So we have 3 bars a rest here. And then we go on to the O's. So at the start of this, it was written as ah. He wants somewhere between a Yorkshire O. So sorry, Americans. It's, what was it? An O in the E space, I was told. Oh, Ian's just joined us. There we go. An O in the E space. So when I go from O to ah, I am only changing my lips. My tongue isn't moving much. So it's more a oh. It's not a pure O. Listen to that over and over again. Just try and get as close to possible to what Simon is singing. But we do move up on the 4th bar, both the tenors and the basses. And we want a crescendo throughout that. So we are gradually getting louder. Okay. We get a few bars rest again. So this is the soprano and altos moment. Simon has said that if we can sing that, we are allowed to in the octave that is written. It is very, very high basses, but if we can hit those notes with beauty, we're allowed to sing. Okay. So they say that you're a little less alone, and we back them up if you only say the word. So we're trying to give them that support, a little bit of a call and answer. From across the silence, your voice is heard. Again, we have our O sections. Contemplative, thinking about all the hard things that we have just told them about us in our performance. Oh, and we're growing. Someone will come running. And if you notice, all the parts are doing different at this point. We're not in unison anymore, or we're not in harmony as much. We are doing different things. We have the polyphony going on. This is one of the few points where he says no breath. So I would suggest really taking a good breath in here, or missing out some of the notes if need be, to get nice tone throughout that whole passage. Someone will come running. We're building in confidence. We're believing it now. It's getting stronger. Someone will come running here is the first time that the basses and tenors get our own parts. So that's quite exciting. And we're going on at the running. Feel free to cut it a little bit short, because we are being supported by the soprano twos, and they will be looking at that n sound, so that we can have a very quick breath at 72. we can't be late here. Again, this is one to keep an eye on for our timing. It'll be a lot clearer when we get the director's videos to take you home. Hold it as throughout as written and in the teach tracks, but he has taken out this half beat, this quaver beat, so that we can have a quick breath in here. It's nice when he lets us breathe. So to take you home, and we're crescendoing throughout that. This is another climax, even when the dark comes crashing through. Basses, I believe this is somewhere that you can drop the octave because it's in the purple. And he has written in big letters, make them believe. Make the audience really feel what we are telling them, the story we are telling, and as it progresses, because we've started from that small, vulnerable place, and now we are getting into the boy band standing up out of our chair moment. When you're broken on the ground, as I suggested earlier, probably going up to the ground note. Basses, if you had dropped the octave, it would be a good place to come back. You will be found, so let the sun keep streaming in. This is all fine. Pull it right back to a little quieter if in bar 82 halfway through, if you only look around, just so that we can build it up again. And that is the end of part 2. So it's just been a quick overview of the first half of the song, just over half of the song.
Laura, question.
Yep, I am just going to stop recording so I can put that on the YouTube. Perfect. Thank you.